All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Limitless MD. Guys, I have the privilege today of a really amazing gentleman, Dr. Akash Bajaj. This gentleman and physician is really triple board certified. So he has a background in anesthesiology, pain management, and now he's exploring the cutting edge of anti-aging. And I wanted Dr. Bajaj to get on the program because, one, I wanted to show physicians that there are ways to move out of the traditional spaces and start exploring a lot of the other ways that physicians can start providing services that are not in the mainstream. Number two, for a lot of the men out there and other folks who are really looking to, human optimize, to biohack, to take your health and energy to that next level. If you're in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, you got to listen to Dr. Bajaj because he's going to give you some strategies and techniques to really take that energy and that vibrancy in your hormone health to 10x. So let's get started. What if you could reclaim hours of free time each week, create legacy building wealth, and devote more energy to your passion projects without giving up on your career as a life-saving MD? My name is Vikram Raya, functional cardiologist, high performance coach, and real estate expert. And I'm here to give you the tools, strategies, and solutions you need to transform your life so you can unlock your limitless potential and achieve greatness, all the while freeing up your precious time. Welcome to Limitless MD. Let's dive in. Akash, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, man. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Dude, it's an interesting path you did. You've done a lot of different things. Did you know you're going to end up being this sort of anti-aging regenerative medicine kind of guy, like when you started?
Not really. Originally when I started in medical school, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And in medical school, we're kind of told like there's certain fields that you really want to kind of gravitate towards, right? Typically, like what we were told is radiology, ophthalmology, anesthesiology, or dermatology. And out of those, I personally gravitated toward anesthesiology. And then what I realized when I was kind of pursuing that is you really have no patient contact whatsoever. And the better of a job you do as an anesthesiologist, the less your patient knows you exist. And that kind of bothered me at some point, right? Because I really wanted to make more of an impact in my patients' lives. So from anesthesia, I was able to kind of further train myself with a fellowship at UCSF in pain management. And then after that fellowship at UCSF in interventional pain, I went ahead and took a job and I practiced traditional pain management for a long time. Then, through we can talk about this, but through that experience, I ended up kind of where I am today.
Got it. And then when did you have this inklings that, hey, I want to go beyond? Because, we were talking in the green room, I was talking about like at some point I felt like I hit a plateau with cardiology. Like I knew in general the typical medications I would need to prescribe to someone even before they walked in the room. I knew like the testing and how often I'd have to do it. And then it got repetitive. And then I also was frustrated with the lack of results, meaning I would wait for them to have a medical event and then I'd sort of bandage the event. When did you just say, hey, look, I want to go upstream and try to help prevent or optimize? Where did you get that from?
No, listen, you said it perfectly. And that's exactly the same experience that I had in pain management, right? So traditionally with pain management, we kind of play with a few tools in our toolbox. And one of those is medication management, which is like traditional opioids. And, we all know kind of what happened in that world combined with injection therapies, right? But what I began to notice is with certain patients that were on chronic opioid pain management, I would have to escalate doses higher and higher and higher to get the same effect. And they were not getting better. They were just on this treadmill of medications with these massive risks, massive just practical issues in clinical practice, like patients calling on a Friday night saying they lost their medication and all this crazy stuff that was just stressful for us as a practice, stressful for me as a physician, and I wasn't doing any good for my patients. So from that point, I decided to really take a closer look at what else I could do. So I basically eliminated medication management completely from my practice. That was around 2017 or 2018. And it was very scary because, there's a difference between being profitable in a business and being busy. And I think what I noticed is I was busy. I was seeing a lot of patients. I felt like I was really doing a lot of great things, but the revenue wasn't really there. And so when I actually calculated the numbers, my patient volume dropped by 33% after I cut out medication management. Any small business owner will tell you that's a really big drop and super scary. but my revenue only went down by 11%. So for me, I was like, okay, I'm happy to take that 11% hit to no longer kind of put my focus and attention in an area where I didn't feel like I was making a difference. And now I've opened myself up to really help patients more where I can make a difference. And that was interventional pain. So what is interventional pain? It's a fancy way of saying basically we were focusing on the injection therapies and minor surgical procedures for these patients. So for me in my world at that time, traditional pain management was, cortisone injections like epidural injections, facet joint injections, sacroiliac joint injections, and then basically every joint in the body, like the shoulders, the elbows, the knees, or what have you. But then what I started to notice is, okay, this is definitely better, no doubt about it. We were making more of a positive impact. But now what was happening is it's kind of a similar picture. Either patients were getting better with these injections, but once you've done 3, maybe 4 epidurals on a patient, for example, and they wear off, then they come back to you and they're like, well, doc, the pain's back. I know we need to do an epidural at L5. Can we do it? And I literally have to look at them and awkwardly say, I can't do it because you've already had 3 in X amount of time. We need to wait. Otherwise, it could be dangerous and start to break down the tissue. And then it's just this awkward conversation where they're staring at me and I'm staring at them. And I'm like, well, let's talk about football or something because I don't really know what else I can do here to help you
So
out.
that's when the
But then,
advent of the regenerative medicine strategies came in. Is that right?
totally, yeah. So from that
Okay.
point, I'm like, what else can we really do to make a difference? So I started looking more into PRP,
Yeah.
stem cell therapy. And this is back at the time when Kobe was going over to Germany to really get these procedures done. And so what
Yeah.
wasn't really widely available here in the US, but it obviously has become widely available. So then I began to focus almost exclusively on those therapies.
Let me ask you a question. One, in a quick way, is there data now to support those kind of strategies like PRP and stem
Yeah.
cells?
Oh yeah. So there's lots of data now. There's lots of organizations and actual kind of societies that really focus just on this. There's lots of data backing up PRP as well as bone marrow aspirate concentrate or stem cell therapy, which is autologous. Absolutely.
Okay. Let's say I'm a weekend warrior. I'm an orthopedic doctor, and my shoulder hurts consistently, and I'm like, I've tried rehab, I've done things. I don't want to necessarily go for major surgery yet. Is
Sure.
that a good candidate for what you offer?
Yeah. So basically, every patient is different, right? And we've treated everybody from professional and semi professional athletes to the weekend warrior to even the soccer mom, right? Because the soccer mom is doing a lot of lifting and twisting, etc. And the thing to keep in mind is as we get older, our ability to compensate for maybe less than optimal movements or less than optimal lifting techniques goes down as well, right? So, really, anybody spanning that spectrum is a candidate without a doubt. But as you know, and as anybody probably listening to this knows, every patient is different. Every patient is unique. So obviously, assuming a proper workup has been completed with
Right.
imaging and et cetera, sure, they could be a
And
candidate.
let me ask you a question. What is like, is this out of pocket or is it covered by insurance? And if it is out of pocket, what's the ballpark? So like if someone's interested, they can, reach out to you or reach out to their providers and say, hey, I need to get this done.
Yeah, I mean, it is at this point in time, it is still out of pocket. I
Okay.
know certain like Medicare is looking at it to potentially cover it
Yeah.
because there is so much promising data behind it at this point, but that process can take years, but it is
Sure.
out of pocket. It really depends on what you're doing,
Yeah.
where you're doing it, and how you're doing it, right? Like you can get PRP in a very kind of high yield way, or you can use a PRP kit that costs pennies on the dollar but doesn't give you a great yield and poor efficacy. I
Sure.
mean, a Kia will get you to the same place as a Mercedes, but they're different modes of transportation.
Sure.
So the cost, I think, varies widely depending
Yeah.
on what you
What's
use.
what's the range if you had to help these guys sort of get a ballpark?
Uh, yeah, I'd say like, roughly speaking, you're looking at anywhere from you could probably get it as low as I'm just guessing here because we don't really use the like less than optimal stuff, but
Yeah.
you could probably find somebody doing it anywhere from like $200 to $300 per shot
Yeah.
to upwards of maybe over $1,000 per shot.
Okay. All right. Just as a ballpark. And
Yeah, and that's a total ballpark. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then tell me about like if I'm in my 50s and I'm a physician, male or female, and I really want to optimize because I know now beyond regenerative, you've gone to like sort of anti-aging and human optimization. Tell me sort of like the top 3 things that a woman in her 40s or 50s, high professional, high income, doing really well, super savvy, but they've maxed out traditional therapies from their doctors and they're looking for that next
Mhm.
edge to stay young and feel
Yeah.
young. What would you say the top
Yeah. I mean,
three strategies?
I think the biggest kind of thing, the problem in today's society is we have so many options, right? You can get on Instagram, you can get online, you can find all these supplements and new diets and new training programs and new blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, I would say number one is stick to the fundamentals, dial your fundamentals in, super disciplined, super religious. And what I mean by that is make sure your sleep hygiene is intact and make sure you have a system. So you consistently get a certain amount of sleep and quality sleep every single night. Number one. Number two, diet and nutrition. Follow that, measure it. If you're not measuring it, you're not improving. You don't know what you're doing if you're not measuring it. Measure your macronutrients, really take it seriously. Most of my clients have no idea that they're probably eating way less protein than they need and way more fat. I see that exact ratio a lot, even though they think they're eating healthy. And by the way, that includes me before I started measuring it. And then physical activity, right? Physical activity is incredibly important. Listen, you don't have to go out and compete in a bodybuilding competition, but you do need to have some sort of plan. And that can include taking the kids around the block for a walk for 10 minutes every day. That can include, rollerblading or whatever it is that you need to do, going to the gym, whatever your thing is. But consistency in those three areas is incredibly important. Once you've dialed in the fundamentals, that's really the only time to consider adding upon it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And people mention this kind of like sort of a human optimization pyramid, and the foundations are, sleep, water, nutrition, resistance training, flexibility training, all of that stuff. Then you throw in some basic supplements, and then after that, if you maxed out all those things, then we can talk about what, like
Yeah.
hormone therapy, peptides,
Yeah.
and then you can do a lot of the other more esoteric
Yeah. I mean,
strategies at that
the
point.
way I typically, yeah, the way I typically talk to my clients about it, Vikram, is like this: like, get your fundamentals in line first. Like, client, Mr. Smith, you don't need me right now. As much as I'd love to take you on as a client, you don't need me. What you need to do is follow this plan that I'm going to give you. Prove it to me and prove it to yourself that you have the discipline to follow this plan. Prove it to yourself that you're going to take yourself seriously enough to follow these basic steps, right? And once you do that, you're going to get rid of 80 to 90% of your problems. Then come back to me, right? This is not about just getting a bunch of clients. Like, go take care of yourself first, right?
I
Then
really
come
love
back to
that,
me
man.
because
That's awesome, Akash,
thank
because
you.
I really love how you're here to serve the global health of that person.
For sure, bro. I mean, like, go get yourself dialed in, but it's not about me because what a lot of what I talk about too with my clients is the mindset, right? Their mindset is everything. If you don't have the right mindset and you have $1 million to spend on these services, you're going to fail. I can give you everything under the book and you can give me $1 million, you're going to fail. The first thing you need to do is get your mindset right. And that happens with discipline. So go prove to yourself that you have the discipline to do these things, then come back to me. At that point, you've now probably improved by 80 to 90%. My job is to take you that last step of the way so you
Yeah.
can run through the checkered flag successfully.
So, guys, Pareto principle, right? 80-20, right? 20% of things
Yeah.
you do get you 80% of results. So the first big chunk of getting it is these foundational principles that Dr. Bajaj is talking about. And then when you're ready for that last 20%, that's when you go to, anti-aging, regenerative medicine, biohacking, human optimization. So first optimize, and then we can take you to that next level. That's awesome. So
Exactly.
let me switch gears here. There's a lot of doctors here who are pretty savvy. They're interested. They want to sort of break out of the rut. They've quote unquote
Yeah.
plateaued. They're wondering what the hell is next. And you've shown
Mhm.
people a cool path. Tell me sort of the business mindset you have to have, and tell me sort of the entrepreneur mindset of a doctorpreneur here. Of looks like you stepped out of traditional medicine a little bit. You're starting to do cash based stuff. You're starting to run clinics in a different way. Can you speak a little bit about maybe if you're going to mentor a young doctor
Yeah.
who's trying to step out similarly to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, when you think about a lot of the things that we do as just human beings, forget about being a doctor or whatever for a minute, just as a human being, why do we spend more money for certain things, right? Why do some people choose to drive a Porsche instead of a Kia or shop at Nordstrom instead of Macy's, right? It's not because of the item, it's because of the experience and the feeling you get from the item, right? I mean, a nice car will get you to the same place, arguably with less of fuel efficiency, more expensive, more maintenance, right? But it's the feeling and the emotion and the experience behind it. There is no reason why we can't take that same principle and transfer it to the healthcare setting. So if you're going to start a clinic, be passionate about what you're talking about, live it, be the example. If you come to me to get optimized from an anti-aging standpoint, and I'm morbidly obese and I haven't shaved in days, and I just look like a mess, and I have Cheetos hanging off of my lip, you're gonna be like, dude, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Why am I gonna listen to this guy? He can't even follow his own principles, right? So the first thing I did, Vikram, was I got myself dialed in. I lost a lot of weight myself. I got my sleep hygiene intact. I got everything dialed in myself. So now I am the example. So now when you come to me, my clients look at me and literally say to me, look, whatever you're doing, just put me on that. I don't care how much it costs, right? And then I take them to this point. But when you're dealing with me to get that 20% boost, it's all about the experience. What does that mean? You get on a call with me in my elite coaching programs and my elite mindset medicine programs. You get on a call with me for about once a week or so, and we do a Zoom call just like this to make sure you're following the path that I've given you and laid out to you. But more than that, we get into your mindset. Why are you doing what you're doing? And why are you not doing what you're doing, right? Because a lot of this is not so much, let me give you a lot of stuff. A lot of it is, let me take away a lot of the BS. Let me take away a lot of the stuff that's distracting you, that's pulling you away. The inflammatory foods, the alcohol, the drugs, the poor sleep, the high carb meals, the sweets because it's a Friday. Like there's no logic behind a lot of what we do, right? So most of it is pulling away. But in order to create this experience, it's all about quality. In order to create a quality experience, it's about this engagement and action. Because then the patient or the client will walk away feeling they had a very good experience and they're left with a very high quality feeling.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's say people want to start work with you, brother. How does it work?
Yeah, I mean, so basically, we do traditional fee for service. If you want to come in and just have a consultation, we line up your labs, et cetera, and everything kind of falls on you to kind of cover the cost. But most of my clients fall into the elite coaching programs, and the elite coaching programs are called mindset medicine. Now, basically, those are 3 month, 6 month, or 12 month programs. And that includes a one-to-one Zoom call like this every single week. Everything that we talked about and everything that's ordered is covered. So you really have nothing out of pocket except for a couple of the hormone delivery methods. Like, for example, if you chose to get testosterone in the pellet form, there's an additional cost to that because it's highly advantageous. And that's just a cost that I transfer to you because it's a cost to me. But otherwise, the consultations and visits are covered. All of the supplements are covered. They're all made in America supplements, bespoke to you and your needs. All of the labs are covered. Any potential peptides are covered as well. So all you have to do is plug and play. You just have to follow the path and just watch yourself become unbreakable, man. That's literally all you have to do.
That's awesome. I love that. I love the word unbreakable. Tell me about the capabilities of you taking people from out of state, or is it all California folks?
Well, so typically it has to be wherever you have a medical license. So for me,
Okay, got it.
currently that includes, yeah, for me, it's California, Nevada, Texas, and Florida. If you live in
Okay,
any of those states, and I have clients in all of those states, I'm
okay.
happy to help you out.
So say those
Yeah.
again, guys. Pay attention. These are
Yeah.
the states that if you want to work with Dr. Bajaj, check this out. Dr. B.
California, Nevada, Texas, and Florida.
Okay, there it is, guys. There it is. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And if people want to get into your ecosystem, learn more about you, what's the best way?
Best way to really kind of get a hold of me is follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is at Akash Bajaj MD. I'm sure you can kind of put a tag for that, Vikram, in the
Yep,
show notes.
will
But
do.
I post on there very frequently. I do a lot of my mindset stuff right on there. There are a lot of daily tips out for people. And also, when you're DMing on that Instagram, you're DMing me directly. It's always me. It's only me. So if you ever have a question on anything that I'm talking about or any question you want to kind of volley over to me, I give you permission. Skip the red tape, skip the middleman. Just DM me directly on Instagram, and I'll hit you back. We'll talk.
Boom, guys. There you have it. I've learned a ton from this conversation. Akash is living. For those of you guys who are listening to this as a podcast, this guy is jacked. He's built. He's ready to go. He's living the dream, and he's exhibiting the foundational principles he's talking about. So that's awesome. And I really love the fact that he took that risk and that calculated strategy to go beyond the traditional medicine and do what he's passionate about and really serve a greater audience. So I love that. And one last thing, Akash, what's the impact you want to have on the world?
That's a great question. I mean, the impact I want to have on the world is create the best man that I can be and give it away. I want to create the person that I know I can be, and I want to teach people to do the exact same thing. Because the clock is ticking for all of us, Vikram. We're all going to have that moment where none of us know it's coming and the game is over. So, I tell my clients, don't waste time. Don't act like you have a tomorrow. Have some urgency behind what you're doing. Become the man you need to be and give it away.
There it is, guys. So, guys, have that urgency, optimize and maximize. Find Akash Bajaj on Instagram. It will be in the show notes. And then, guys, continue to support the channel. Really appreciate all of you guys. We're gonna have a lot more presence on YouTube, so keep a lookout for that. And until next time, guys, be phenomenal. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Limitless MD. If you found value from this episode, I encourage you to share this episode with a friend and let me know by leaving a review. For more information, make sure you check out the links in the show notes below or simply visit vikramraya.com. So until next time, my friends, be phenomenal.